Each week, the voices of Miami Valley High School students are heard across Southwest Ohio as Dayton Youth Radio brings their stories to the airwaves. Now, let's take a look and listen to what these young storytellers have to say.
I'm not sure why I decided to put on my Superman costume.
My mom would always put me and my brother before her, even for the small things.
I love my skin. I love being beautiful. I love being black. But not everybody else loves it. I heard about Dayton Youth Radio through my creative writing teacher. It was sort of nothing like I expected. I mean, not that I went in there with negative expectations, but I was a little nervous towards the beginning. I thought my voice was gonna shake, but I got comfortable pretty quick. Through Dayton Youth Radio, I learned that I'm actually really courageous. I didn't know that I had all of this ambition in me until I went with it, until I flowed with it, honestly. And when I did, I felt like it was beautiful. It kind of made me feel empowered.
Dayton Youth Radio is a safe place for teenagers to tell stories about their lives and to talk about anything they want and to learn how to use radio equipment. I put together an 8-week program and became the founding producer of this series in 2013. Public school and private school teachers reach out and invite me into their classroom. Over 175 teenagers have come through this program, 10 at a time. That first day is so important to just build trust, and so we can talk about anything. Once you get past that first hour of being with a new group of teenagers, we form a tribe. It's an 8-week course. By week 3, they start telling me about what they would like to do with this microphone. Like, you have the microphone now, you got it for 3 minutes, and what do you want to talk about? They're writing scripts, and you have to tell the truth. It has to be about truth. Towards the end of the course, we come to WSYO, and they do their narratives.
We talked about how writing for radio is different than writing for someone to read, and the importance of still capturing your audience and building a scene for them and making sure that there's enough detail that they can imagine the scene, but not too much that they're lost in it. My Dayton Youth Radio story was about my transition from male to female and about how I encountered the world differently than a lot of other people because I happened to be a teenager who's trans. Through Dayton Youth Radio, I learned that my personal story can have an impact on the people and environment that surround me. And even something as small as a radio story can really open someone's eyes and maybe even change their views.
What were you wearing? What were you drinking? What did you think were gonna happen walking home alone?
I guess what I'm trying to say is, love is the best Band-Aid you can use.
It bothers me that he never got to see me perform in Color Guard. He hasn't been able to watch me grow up.
The first year were pretty generic stories, but then I noticed the second year the students wanted to talk about deeper and deeper topics. And sometimes students would cry in classes. They talked about a subject that they wanted to do. And I had to look at my syllabus and said, you know what, I need more training. Because if a student is talking about losing a loved one, and then I'm like, well, this is how a microphone works, I wasn't being effective. So after the second year, I went back and got certified in mental health training for working with adolescents. I know how to make this place even safer now with my training, and then we could go deeper. And if you look at our series, the stories have gotten more intense, more personal.
It was almost like I was living in 2 different worlds. At school, I always had a lunch, yet at home, when we couldn't afford milk, my dad told me to pour water in my cereal.
One of the things I dislike about my culture is young marriage. My great-grandma got married when she was only 13 years old.
My dad, who had always had a job, had been laid off. Being laid off affected the way he saw our country, our community. Now he seemed to be talking about race all the time. I wasn't trying to tear anybody down. I was trying to bring light to an issue, which is important to me, that I don't agree with. I was actually in Dayton Youth Radio last year, and it kind of inspired me to become interested in radio more and also just media at large. I go to Bowling Green, and I major in broadcast journalism.
Go ahead and hit pause. What we can do is let's hold off on getting the bike sounds. Let's just finish it, because the bike sounds can always just be thrown back in. Like, it's not vital. I go to Ohio State University, and I'm studying journalism. And then what we'll do, if we get everything done before 2:30, we'll just go out, have you sit with the recording equipment like in your lap, and then just like pedal for like a minute of just like solid bike sounds. My story was about a father that I did not know. Well, I knew through other people, all bad things, of course, but it was more of just trying to find out who he was.
I want to forgive my father, but my grandma doesn't want me to see him. My grandma has not forgiven my father for what he did to my mom and me.
You know, I was actually thinking about this. Like, is this a form of therapy? And I think what's interesting about Dayton Youth Radio, at least for the stories that we've done, when they're really personal, they always start where it's opening up this wound, and then it kind of just lets that be. And so it doesn't ever solve it. It's not trying to solve it. It's trying to get you and kind of kick you to go and deal with your problems. And at least it motivates you to ask those questions that you might not have asked. Radio is a very emotive thing, and it's still something that can move people to tears, make people laugh, make people get angry. That's why people tune in.
That's what the listener hears when they hear these stories. It's a love and passion and an excellence. Once the class is over, I'm off to the next school, and sometimes I'll see the family like at the mall, and they say, "Thank you for helping my kid tell that story." There's a lot of happy endings I've heard from some of these stories going on the air. I'm always in awe and just feeling blessed to do this project with the teenagers.
I understand the value of education and what not having one can do to your life.
I'm an aspiring meteorologist who dreams of being on TV one day. Yeah, I just said meteorologist.
When you have a dream, you shouldn't let anyone make you feel like you're not good enough. You have the power to make a difference. For Dayton Youth Radio, this is Jadon.